Hello and welcome to Runkle of the Bailey. My name is Ian Runkle. I'm a Canadian criminal defense and firearms lawyer. I owe you guys a bit of an update on the Section 74 matter because that's why I haven't been posting as regularly. So to recap here, the Government of Canada banned certain firearms, and then the Registrar sent out letters that said, hey, your registration certificates are no longer valid. They've been automatically nullified. Now, to me, looking at these look like notices of revocation, but defective notices of revocation, ones that don't comply with the requirements of the statute. Now, the Crown, or the registrar here, takes the position that these are not letters of revocation, that the simple fact that although they actually changed the status in their databases from a status that means valid to one that means not valid, that doesn't indicate that they revoked anything. Now, I don't think that this is the case, but that is sort of the crux of the argument is, are these letters defective revocations, in which case they should have followed certain statutory requirements, or are these letters just something that doesn't actually mean anything? They're just a letter that they're sending out for no reason that they're not obligated to send out. So this is been a major battle because there's a whole lot of case law. There's a lot of people who brought these cases as self-represented individuals, and a lot of them didn't fare well in court. So there's a lot of prior precedent that has to sort of be overcome because of that. Now, in this matter, we've called evidence, there's been affidavits, there's been cross-examination, and we've also had written submissions. And written submissions are pretty brutal. It takes a lot of writing, it takes a lot of thought and effort. So those went in, that was 2 weeks of really rough sort of writing and, concentration and so forth, especially because, for me to get my written submissions out, just me. They've got several lawyers. They've got a basically infinite budget. So I'm kind of the underdog in this fight, and I recognize that. This is a tough fight, but a lot of fights that are worthwhile are ones where it's, a David against Goliath kind of situation. Now, the most recent update is we had 2 days of trial, and the trial wasn't, all of the evidence was already in. Normally, when we say we're having a trial, like a criminal trial, there'll be evidence called, but this situation, we already had all of the evidence in. We had a lot of our argument in the form of written submissions, but we still took 2 days of further argument and discussion of case law. So it's been a real big slog. Now, in terms of when the decision is coming out, we won't know the actual result on this one until later on in December. That's going to be some time from now. And honestly, we'll have to see. I can't say what the result is going to be here. It's just, we'll have to see what the result is. There's a lot of arguments that the judge is going to have to consider. There's a lot of issues on this one, and I'm hopeful that I will get the result I want, but you can never guarantee these things. I don't want to comment too much about sort of, any of those things or why I'm, where I am in terms of my thoughts on this one, just because this is an ongoing court process. And quite frankly, I don't really want people to start sort of hypothesizing about what's going on here, because a lot of people tend to start, coming up with conspiracy theories about the court or that kind of thing. And quite frankly, this is a judge I have tremendous respect for. He was previously defense counsel. He was Crown counsel, I think, for a period, and has had a number of different roles, but he's one of the smartest guys you could possibly find. He's somebody who's an impressive intellect and jurist. So I don't want to hear any of that. I don't want to see any of that in the comments. This is just a tough argument, and it's a complicated issue. So we'll have to see. Once the eventual decision comes out, I'll talk about that. I'll probably do some videos in the interim talking about some of the case law that the judge is going to have to consider, and just sharing some of those cases so that you guys have a better understanding of what the issues are, what the arguments are, that kind of thing. As I said, I'm hopeful. There's a lot at stake here because the Crown position, or the registrar position here, is effectively that, once they banned these firearms, everybody became ineligible for them. and that means that the registration certificates became invalid automatically, and that it's not a revocation. The problem is that ineligible is the language that's always used for Section 74 matters. The Crown, or either the Chief Firearms Officer or the Registrar, depending on who's bringing a refusal or a revocation, they're always saying that we're refusing to issue you a registration certificate because you're ineligible, or we're revoking your firearms license because you have become ineligible. So if the court ultimately finds that ineligibility means that you can't bring something to Section 74 hearings, I don't know what will be left to hear in a Section 74 matter. This will have tremendous impact for gun owners across Canada. And, this is going to be a case that ends up being referenced across Canada. It's really important. So it's a tremendous privilege to be able to be involved in this and to be able to be fighting for all of you. The firearm community is a fantastic community. It is a tremendous privilege to be involved in this, as I said, and we'll ultimately see. Now, you might be saying, okay, well, it'll be over in December, right? Not really, because ultimately, whatever happens, this is issues of law, and whatever happens, I don't think either side is going to just say, okay, well, we lost at provincial court, that's fine. Certainly, if the registrar loses, I would be astounded if they did not appeal. And if I lose, I would also be very surprised if I didn't appeal. I mean, I'm going to have to look at the decision and see what all is in there, but I expect that there would be an appeal. This is an issue that I expect will ultimately be settled at the Supreme Court of Canada, and will hopefully decide once and for all this question, because there have been a number of cases where this issue of them using a sort of different word, we're not going to call it a refusal, we're just going to say that we're declining to process your application, that kind of thing. There have been a number of cases where this has come up, and I'm hoping that this will be a case that sort of decides once and for all that the court has jurisdiction to hear it whenever they're trying to cancel your registration certificate or cancel your license or any of these things. If we get a clear ruling in favor of gun owners, I expect it will greatly simplify litigation in terms of challenging these kinds of decisions, whereas the opposite will greatly increase complexity. We'll have this process where for every application that has to get brought, there'll be first the question of which court it should be brought in, and then it's going to get real messy and real muddy. So fingers crossed. But a lot of people are interested in this one. I know a lot of people have their own challenges on the go. Ultimately, I expect I'll be meeting some of you guys in Ottawa, but we'll have to see sort of how this shakes out at the end. But that's kind of where the status is at this point. All of the evidence is in, all of the argument, both written and oral, is in, and there's nothing left to do other than to wait for the decision and to hope. So I really appreciate that you guys have continued to support me while I haven't been posting as much. I've just been, in the trenches trying to get this taken care of and doing my best. This is the fight of a lifetime. I can say, I'm not boasting when I said I've been to the Supreme Court and I've won at the Supreme Court. I'm just offering that to note that I put more work into this factum and these oral arguments. It's a harder, tougher, more precise, more finicky kind of issue. And as I said, the fight of a lifetime. So I will continue to update you guys as I know more. If anything changes, anything along those lines, as I said, I will do some case updates for some of the intervening cases. My big project for right now is I want to finish the Queen and Senior, because it's a fascinating case, and there's going to be an update to it fairly soon where, we hear what the entrapment arguments are. So I want to have that sort of complete and wrapped. and then we'd be in good stead to hear the entrapment thing once that comes out. So that's kind of the roadmap, the game plan. I should be posting more regularly, but yeah, I guess that's what I have to say on this one. Feel free to ask me, questions. I've got Locals up and running, which is, I think, a better place for conversations than YouTube. So it's a good place to post comments. I'm going to try to respond. I'm a busy guy, so sometimes I don't get to all the questions I'd like to. But let me know sort of what you're thinking, what your questions are, and gonna keep posting. Thank you for watching. As I said, I really do appreciate it. I also want to thank my Patreon supporters at the $50 level: Jonathan Wheeler, Jason Elliott, Canada's National Firearms Association, Mike, Kyle Martin, Jean-Guy Toussaint, the CCFR, and the Canadian Shooting Sports Association. At the $30 level, Sights and Arms Limited and Marc-Olivier Demour. And at the $20 level, Raymond L. McKinnon, Matt Ward, Mark Whittington, Jane Babin Luxor, Dale Nesbitt, Cameron Johnson, Bruno R., and Andrew Elsich. Thank you as well to the $10 supporters who are going to be in the crawl immediately following. And thank you to all of you. I really appreciate the support. As I said, it's really been a big help. It's a tough slog. It's rough. And I really appreciated knowing that you guys are behind me and knowing that I am, fighting not just for my own case, because I definitely have an interest in this. It's my own personal, case, but I know that this matters to a lot of people. And the thing I love about law is that you get to, if you choose your career well, and if you choose what you want to do well, you have the opportunity to help a lot of people in law. And I am lucky enough to have got myself into a place where that's what I can do, and that's what I enjoy doing. And, firearms owners aren't always the most popular people, but defending unpopular people is often even more necessary than, popular people tend to have no shortage of people lining up to have their back. But it's the groups that get blamed for things. It's, unpopular underdogs that really need someone in their corner. And so, yeah, I want to say thank you guys for being there. It's an honor and a privilege, and I'm not giving up anytime soon. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope this has armed you with knowledge, and see you next time.